Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jared here with another video. This one's going to be an NFL game review. I haven't done one of these in years, but I actually went to my first ever NFL game, and I definitely wanted to talk to you about it. Now, this game's been analyzed to death. It happened a few days ago. I'm not really going to talk about too much about the game per se, but more so about my experience. And let's just start with my Washington Commanders fandom. I became a fan from my late father. He got me into Washington, and they've obviously been horrible for so long. But this is the first year in a very long time that they've actually been good. They have a good culture. They have brand new ownership and a new coaching staff, a brand new quarterback, rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels. It's their best season since 1991. This season has just been magical, to be honest with you, in every facet. And even from my perspective, just witnessing, all the games and all the crazy plays and all the crazy finishes and the comebacks and everything in between. It's just been unbelievable, especially the Hail Mary against the Bears. Getting to see that at Hooligans with my girlfriend, and that was crazy. The game against the Falcons, got to witness that with my friend at Ale House when we went into overtime, and it was just another crazy game. Got to witness the second game against the Eagles. It was a crazy comeback at the end that we won. And when it was announced that we were going to be playing the Buccaneers in the first round of the playoffs, I was like, let me look at the tickets. But I probably won't go. They're going to be too expensive. But I checked them every single day, and they actually weren't that expensive. Every single day, they were going down and down and down. I was like, I'm going to get nosebleeds, but it's better than nothing. The tickets didn't start actually rising until a day or two before the game. And I actually, unfortunately, forgot to check the day of the game to see what the prices were like. But basically, me and my mom decided to go, and it's 3 hours from where we live, and headed over there. I had never been to Raymond James Stadium in my life for any event whatsoever, so all of this was just a brand new experience for me, which actually gave me a little bit of anxiety. So I was thinking that the stadium was actually smack dab in the middle of the city, but it's actually not. It's more in the suburbs of Tampa, and which is kind of reminiscent to Orlando City Stadium, something like that, where it's kind of off the highway, out in the distance a little bit. Traffic wasn't too bad getting there, and parking around the stadium was extremely expensive, more expensive than I thought it was going to be. Parking, game day parking across the street was $60 for multiple lots. If you wanted to park further away, obviously it was going to be cheaper. Those were $40 and $20. But 60 was a lot, not what I'm used to at really any event. But that's game day parking. I'm not 100% sure about parking if you buy parking with your ticket, but we went ahead and parked and headed up to the stadium, and it was just absolutely electric outside the stadium. So many fans, just elbow to elbow, and tailgating and beers and people just partying and eating food and socializing, and it's such an event. It was really interesting to experience that. Definitely a good amount of Washington fans I noticed. Heading into the stadium, I would say one negative, nitpicky thing. I thought some of the people that we dealt with at the metal detecting area were taking their job a little bit too seriously. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand you have to take your job seriously, especially when it comes to that specific position. But I thought some of the things that they were saying and doing were definitely a little over the top, and it was just why are you acting like this? So that was a little bit weird. Getting into the stadium, there's basically a couple different ways you can go about going up inside the stadium. You can take escalators, or you can kind of walk up these like inclined paths, not really steps, but just like these paths that are inclined. I would definitely recommend taking the escalators because it takes way longer if you take the paths, even though most people are taking the escalators. So I thought that was interesting. And yeah, basically, when we got inside the stadium, one of the first things I wanted to do was look at merchandise. I didn't expect there to be anything Washington Commanders related, but I was hoping I could at least get something relating to the game or the stadium. So went to multiple merch booths, and basically, obviously, it was 99.9% Buccaneers merchandise, which I'm sure was extremely overpriced. I didn't even see price tags on anything there, and I didn't even see a lot of fans in these stores, to be honest with you. But I did speak to someone, and he said the only thing they really had in relation to the game was a pen. And I was thinking it was like a writing pen, but it was actually like a pen that you like, you know, like a commemorative pen that you would put on your clothing. And I'm happy to say that I actually did find it pretty quickly. It was $10, and yeah, it was cheap, and it was, you know, just a cool little pen that I'll show you right here. As you can see, it has the Washington Commanders and Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmets along with the date, which I thought was really awesome, and NFC wildcard. So hey, better than nothing. Nothing crazy, but like I said, better than nothing. Glad that there was a few of those available. So after that, I wanted to talk. So I wanted to talk a little bit about like the food and the drinks. I didn't personally get anything, but I will say as you can imagine, the food and the drinks there were extremely expensive. I didn't really see price tags once again on anything, even relating to the food and the drinks. But I will say, nachos and beer costed around $36, which is absurd. After that, we decided to head up to our seats, and this was one thing that was a little frustrating. I didn't really understand the layout of the stadium. I'm pretty good at navigating, but the stadium, you can't walk around the whole stadium. Like, you couldn't do like a lap around the stadium. Basically, like, we were on the wrong side of the stadium, and what you have to do is you have to go all the way down to the field and then cross over to the other side of the stadium and then go back up the escalators to get to where you need to be. I just thought that was strange. Maybe it's like that at like NFL stadiums, but I just didn't think that layout personally made a lot of sense, and that was just frustrating. And I've been to a lot of NBA games, and I guess I kind of thought it would be like the same thing, but it wasn't. So we had to do that. I will say one thing that was really cool about the stadium, which by the way holds 75,000 people. They were showing the Eagles playoff game that was going on at the time on the Jumbotron and on all the TVs around the stadium, which everybody was watching and keeping an eye on, which I thought was just really cool. So got up to our seats. There were definitely more Washington fans on the side that we picked, which is kind of what we were going for because we wanted to pick the side of the field that Washington was on, which I think was a great call. And basically, one of the first things you notice that they had these keepsakes at every single seat, and it was alternating Buccaneers flags. So they had a red one and a white one, which I'll show you right here. And I thought that was cool. The only thing that was disappointing for me, once again, just nitpicky, not trying to be super negative, but I do wish it was more related to the game and not just the Buccaneers, because obviously you have both fans there. But I definitely did grab a few of those, each one, to be honest with you, and better than nothing. And yeah, there were a lot of Washington fans, once again, sitting around us. And I would say one of the first things I noticed when I sat down up in the nosebleeds was that the view was good. My brother and my dad went to a Buccaneers-Rams game way back in the day, and they had nosebleeds, and they said that they couldn't see anything. And I was happy to say that we definitely could see everything. I tried to get in the middle of the field, get a good distribution of the left side and the right side of the field. We unfortunately got up there a little bit too late, where we didn't get to see any of the players warming up or anything like that. But that's okay. Uh, yeah, so one thing also about the view was you got to see, one thing that's really cool about the stadium is they have the pirate ship on, on the one side of the end zone, which is really cool, that shoots cannons. Most of the time it's just when they score, but it's also, I think, when they get in the red zone. And I was also kind of a little bit worried about how loud the cannons were going to be, because I heard they were really fucking loud, but they weren't too bad at all. And I thought it was really cool. So yeah, basically we eventually got to player intros, and I thought player intros was a little weird for the Buccaneers, because they only introduced the starting defenders, and I don't even know if it was all of them, but it was some of them, but they didn't do the starting offense at all. So I didn't really understand that. As far as the energy goes in the stadium, I would say it didn't have as much energy as I thought it would. And I know it might sound like I'm being like ultra negative about this game. It definitely wasn't ultra negative. I did record a vlog for this entire experience, which I posted a few days ago. And I don't think the vlog does it justice, but I don't think the Buccaneers fans had a lot of energy, to be honest with you. And yeah, basically there weren't like any there weren't a lot of performers, as far as like in between, there weren't like a lot of performers during the commercials, or like even at halftime or anything. It was basically just the cheerleaders and the drum line. But yeah, basically the game started, and Washington actually lost the coin toss, but Buccaneers wanted to receive, which I thought was good. Good start for us, because we prefer most of the time to receive in the second half. But as far as the game went, it was back and forth the whole entire night. It was a fantastic game, and it was just crazy. It was, I'll say, a lot of offense. And that's one of the major takeaways from me watching a game in person, especially nowadays, is just how much offense there is. It's offense, offense, offense. There's just not a lot of defense. And I think that's reminiscent of just how the NFL is nowadays. And it's even the same thing in the NBA. They're really trying to protect players and everything. But yeah, seeing a game in person is definitely much different than watching it on TV. Obviously, you don't get the first down line in person, so you have to really pay attention to the first down marker, the chain gang, and stuff like that. If you have a seat like where we did, where we're horizontal looking at the field, we're not in the end zone, and they're kicking a field goal, there's no way you can tell if they make it at all. So basically what I was doing is, like, when they would kick it, I would watch it with my eyes, and then when it would go into the upright, I would look at the Jumbotron to see if it made it or not. And you also have to really pay attention to the referees and their signals, and listen to their calls and everything. Paying attention to the Jumbotron, what down it is, and listening to the PA announcer. It's a much different experience. And seeing the plays formulate and being able to just like analyze who's open and what exactly is going on with the play was a lot of fun. I'll say, like, the first touchdown that Washington got with De'Ami Brown, which, by the way, he had a fantastic game, seriously stepped up to the plate. That was such a fun play for me personally, because, like, once again, I wasn't really watching Jaden, more so I was watching the receivers getting open. I was kind of looking at the progressions, and at the last second, I saw De'Ami Brown get open, and then Jaden immediately threw it to him. So it's just cool to, like, see a player get open before, like, the quarterback even does, because you're up in the stands, and that's something that, like, I don't think you can get on TV, all the time. So yeah, as far as the game, also, the run game wasn't really working for either team. I mean, Bucky Irving was pretty decent. Baker had a few good runs, but really the run game was non-existent for both teams for the most part. It was mainly just passing. Mike Evans had a really good game. Terry McLaurin had a really good game, but the quarterback play was great. I thought that both quarterbacks were very, very similar. But yeah, it was just it was interesting, and seeing the refs calls. I mean, of course, like the fans were upset with multiple calls, and there were definitely some iffy calls and stuff like that. There were a lot of Buccaneers legends there that they were showing on the cameras and stuff, which was interesting. Um, but yeah, I mean, like once again, it was just back and forth the whole game. I will say, it was so much fun. It was so entertaining, and like I said, you could pretty much see everything except for mainly the field goals and everything. And there was some good kicker play too in this game. Um, but in the third quarter, out of nowhere, this dude he comes and sits next to my mom out of nowhere. He wasn't sitting next to her earlier in the game at all, and yeah, like before you knew it, he just like he pulls out like a fat joint and started smoking it, and he was like absolutely hilarious. He actually added to the experience, and we were definitely laughing a lot about like in relation to him and also the people behind us and stuff. We were really getting along great with the Washington fans that were around us. Like I said, there were a decent amount of them. It was really cool. These are complete strangers, but to be able to have that common interest in the specific team and being able to vibe with them just off that, and it's a lot of fun. And I will say it's a football game. There's so much alcohol being consumed, and it's outdoor, and the energy is like so high. It's just different. People are screaming things that they would like never scream at like a basketball game or at a baseball game. It is rowdy. And once again, I'm not trying to contradict myself with what I said earlier. I'm just saying overall, like I think the Tampa Bay fan energy was not as crazy as I thought it was going to be. I thought the Washington fans had a really good energy. And I just think it would be different if you were at like the Vikings Stadium or the Chiefs Stadium or like the Eagles Stadium. I just don't think the Bucks fans were like really, really like die hard like I was kind of expecting maybe. But yeah, I mean it was great. The end of the game, Washington did what they needed to do, and they ended up kicking a field goal to win it as time expired, and it hit off the upright, but it went in, and we won the game as time expired, and it was absolutely unbelievable. It was surreal. It was just absolute joy and jubilation around us, and everyone hugging and high fiving because, like I said, there's so many Washington fans around us, and it was just such an experience. It was really like a divine religious experience also too for me. I was looking up in the sky and thinking about my dad, and I was like, I knew my dad was there. It just added to the whole season, like I said, which has been crazy like that. And it even if they lost, it would have been one of the best nights of my life for sure. And that's one of the best ways I can describe it as. It's like a magical night. That was one of the best nights of my life. Leaving the stadium, I grabbed multiple flags of the keepsakes, and we went down the stairs and everything, and there were multiple Bucks fans that were like almost getting into fights with Washington fans, and just hearing all the Washington fans chanting the fight song, and just so happy and celebratory and just loud, and it was unbelievable. It was such a crazy experience. It was just it's there's nothing like it. And I wanted to mention, like, I didn't hear the word commander come out of like fans' mouths. Maybe it was like less than 5 times. Everybody was saying the name Redskins the whole night. I thought that was very interesting because I wasn't sure how that. I wasn't really sure how people felt about that. As far as like nowadays. But yeah, we left the stadium, and I'll say the traffic was absolutely horrible leaving the stadium. One of the worst I've ever dealt with in my life. It reminded me of when we left the Guns N' Roses concert in Miami at the Miami Marlins ballpark. But luckily got out of there and got home safely, and it was it was just an unbelievable experience and one that I'll never forget. Absolutely worth the money. And yeah, Washington wins their first playoff game since 2006, their best season since 1991, and they're going to be heading to Detroit on Saturday night to play the Lions, which I think is a team that is very, that really, I think these teams are very comparable. I'm not saying Washington's going to go in there and blow Detroit out or anything. I'm just saying I think culture-wise, um, I think Washington and Detroit have very similar cultures. And it's going to be a really tough game, but a fun game, and I can't wait for it. Just, um, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of any other words I can describe this game as. It was just so much fun. It was exciting. It was everything you could ask for, and I did feel bad for the Buccaneers fans because they did look very dejected, um, but it is what it is, and Washington is victorious, and man, I just can't it's been a few days, and I still can't stop thinking about this game. So anyway, long story short, I definitely want to go back to more. I definitely want to go to more NFL games in the future. I'm so glad I got to finally go to one, and a playoff game at that, and Washington winning. It was just the stars aligned once again, and yeah, I'm just super grateful and thankful for everything. So hope you all enjoyed this video. Just my experience at this first ever NFL game at Raymond James Stadium. Washington Commanders going into Tampa to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, winning in the playoffs. So hope you all enjoyed. Please comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.